everyone. Thank you so much for joining again. And this is Let Us Talk It. So a brand new day, new Wednesday, new topics, new wonderful speakers that will give us the bliss of knowledge in an hour session. So there will be two topics that we fit in, and we call it Zipinar instead of webinar. So we hope you are joining. It's better to join on Zoom, or if you're watching via Facebook and YouTube, please keep watching until the end. So to start with, the topic for today, the first one would be leading through emotional intelligence. As we know, like not just IQ, is important in any place that we would be. Emotional intelligence is essential as well, and this will be delivered by Srikanthan Kumarasamy, and he has 20 plus years of work experience in the IT industry. So he has served at senior positions in MNCs like Hayespeak, which is now R.R. Donnelley, Samsung and Microsoft, which are big companies. So after exiting the corporate world, he had been part of a few startups as a co-founder, played the roles of coach and consultant for about 10 years before he decided to launch his full-time coaching business in the year 2020. So he's the founder and head coach of Guiding Light Coaching Services. And the topic is and how we would understand emotional intelligence, competencies related to emotional intelligence, and leadership styles that are adopted based on emotional intelligence. So here we are, here with me to deliver the topic, Srikanth. Please take over.
Thank you, Phil, for that wonderful introduction. I hope my wife was watching this Zipinar, so she would have been very proud. I mean, she doesn't believe that I can do all of this. Okay, so let me just get started. So I'm going to maybe spend about 20 minutes. First, I'll talk about emotional intelligence, and then I talk about leading based on emotional intelligence. Let me bring up the slide and show it. So I hope all of you can see it. So
Yes.
as Phil introduced, I'm Srikanth. People call me Srikanth. I'm a master certified coach by the International Coaching Federation. So let's look at what is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive, understand, recognize, manage, and handle the emotions of oneself and also the others. So that's the definition of emotional intelligence. Now, very quickly, there are 5 components of emotional intelligence. These components are actually defined by a gentleman by the name Dr. Daniel Goleman. He came up with this concept about in the early 1990s, right? So he said there are 5 components. One is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skill. Now I'm going to touch upon a little bit on all of this. So self-awareness is about recognizing and understanding moods, emotions, and drives. Self-regulation is ability to control impulse and moods. Motivation, passion to pursue goals with energy. Empathy, awareness of others' feelings. Social skills, proficiency in managing relations. So let's go a little bit deep in these 5 components. So what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is about understanding your own self, right? The ability to recognize, understand your moods, motivation, abilities, and understanding how they impact others. What is happening within you, right? The way to understand about you is to, of course, do a lot of self-reflection, be in silence and just notice what is happening with you, and also seek feedback from the others. So there also is a concept called the Johari window, where if you want to know about yourself, you also have to seek input from others that you are not able to see yourself. So that is part of understanding you. So that is about self-awareness, right? So this is like, you kind of stand in front of a mirror to identify what is there in front of you. Okay. And let's look at the second component of the emotional intelligence, self-regulation. This is about you are going through a lot of emotions every moment. How do you take control of your emotions and react is not the right word. How do you respond to situations based on your emotions and express yourself appropriately in the situations that you are going through? So the first one is to identify emotions, and the second one is to How do you experience those emotions and respond to situations? And that is about self-regulation. And let's look at the third one. About this is about the motivation. It's about learning and improving yourself continuously. You keep learning about what is possible for you and keep improving, because we say that the day that you decide to stop learning, you start decaying, right? So it is important that you keep learning on a continuous basis. And motivation also is your grit and determination to keep going when you face challenges. When going gets tough, you have to keep going. So that's about your motivation. So this is the third component. And the fourth one is empathy. So empathy is your ability to understand other people's emotions and reactions. You can empathize only if you become aware of about your own self. So that is very important. So sometimes empathy is mentioned as walking on other people's shoes. And the way that I look at is walking on other people's shoes without wearing them. How do you relate to their feelings? Detach yourself from their feeling and still be able to help them with whatever they're going through. That is about empathy. And let's look at the last one, social skills. It's your ability to pick up on jokes. And if anybody is making sarcastic comments, just take it positively, maintaining friendships, relationship, and finding a common ground with others. So all these 5 components put together, if you keep the motivation aside, you can bring it into 4 different quadrants, and I'll explain to you how you can very easily remember these 4 components. Now, look at this diagram. There's a vertical line and a horizontal line. In the horizontal line, on the left side, you see others, towards others, and the right side, you see towards self. And the vertical line, you see the one going up towards knowledge, the one going down is towards management. So let's keep the motivation aside. Let's bring the other 4 components. This is how it look like. If you're the ability to have self-knowledge is self-awareness. Okay. Self-knowledge is self-awareness. Self-management is self-regulation. So self and management of self, knowledge of self. Right? Knowledge of self is self-awareness. Management of self is self-regulation. Knowledge about others is empathy. And management of others is social skills. So very easy to remember, right? So now let's look at a little bit detail on all these 4 components. What is self-awareness? I already described. So let's look at a little bit in detail. The ability to name the emotion in the moment. What emotions are you going in the moment? Ability to feel it at the physiological level. Any emotion that you are going through at any given point in time, there is a connection. Emotion is happening at your heart level, but you should be able to feel the emotion in your body somewhere, right? If you're angry, you will feel it somewhere. If you're sad, you will feel it somewhere. If you are frustrated, you will feel it somewhere. So the ability to feel that is important, and that is about self-awareness. And also ability to understand triggers. What are the emotions which can trigger you, right? So that is self-awareness. And let's look at the next one, self-regulation. Ability to regulate emotions. We spoke about it a little while ago. When you're angry, how are you able to regulate? When you're frustrated, how are you able to do it? Ability to use emotions to achieve goals in the moment. How are you going to leverage the emotions to achieve your goals? So this is about self-awareness, self-regulation. Let's look at the third one, empathy. As I mentioned to you, ability to put yourself in another person's shoes. Better is to able to walk along with another person without wearing their shoes. Ability to feel what the other person is feeling. Yeah, ability to make a emotional connection and understand and feel what the other person is going through. The final one is social skills. It's about understanding others and managing others, ability to interact with the others, able to have meaningful relationships and conversation with the others, able to manage conflicts, able to get everyone on the same page. So I covered the important part, the emotional intelligence. Now, how do we leverage emotional intelligence? And Daniel Goleman has come up with different leadership styles based on somebody's emotional intelligence. There is a mechanism, the way that we can measure IQ, that is the intelligence quotient. We can also measure emotional intelligence through some assessments. So let's look at what are the 6 styles of leadership based on emotional intelligence. Once again, D Goldman stands for Daniel Goldman, right? So these are 6 different styles. One, let's start from, you can start from anywhere: visionary, coaching, affiliate, democratic, commanding, and pace setting. So these are 6 different leadership styles. Now let's look at each one of them, how they are defined, and what are some of the competencies, attributes, where they can be used, where they should not be used, and so on and so forth. What is the impact when you use different styles of leadership? So let's go to that and look at this. Okay. According to Goldman, he says the leader's modus of operandi when the person is commanding, meaning commanding means it's autocratic. I want this done. I don't care about what is happening in your world. It's my way or the highway. Just do what I'm asking you to. Don't ask me questions. So that is the commanding leadership style. Visionary is about mobilizing people towards the vision. Cast a large vision and then allow people to get connected with that vision emotionally, so that the emotions will drive and motivate them to work towards that particular vision. Affiliative is a person who likes to build relationships and create bonds and want to have peace and harmony in the way that the person is leading, is affiliation. Democratic means that without, if there is a problem, without stating, hey, this is the solution that I have in mind for this is the problem statement, what do you think could be the solution? So you invite other people to participate to see, what can be done going forward. So pace setting is setting high standards for performance. What it means is that, hey, I am doing this, you also do this. So there's a difference between commanding and pace setting. Commanding means I'm just asking you to do, you do. Pace setting means I'm doing this, I want you to do exactly what I'm asking you to do. So just keep pace with me. The way, if I'm running at some 1 kilometer at 6 minutes, you also please run the same pace that I'm running. So that's a fundamental difference. Coaching is about developing people for the future, right? So these are the different styles based on emotional intelligence. Now let's go one level below and look at the style interface. As I mentioned to you, commanding means do what I tell you to do. Okay, don't ask me questions. Visionary, come along with me. Affiliative, people are important for this person. People come first. That's the reason they want to create a sense of harmony and peace and emotional bonds and so on and so forth. Democratic is, what do you think? I already said, right? So I have a problem. This is not, I may have a solution in my head, but I'm not going to tell what the solution is. I'm going to invite for answers. And pace setting, as I told, do as I do now. And coaching means, hey, maybe you can do this, maybe you can do this, try different options. So these are the styles in different phases. Let's go one level below. Underlying emotional intelligence competencies. What competencies are being leveraged by each of these leadership styles? Commanding means the only goal is to achieve results by hook or crook. Drive to achieve, initiative, self-control. They are very controlling. They want to have everything under their control. Visionary, self-confidence, empathy, change. Affiliative, empathy. Primarily empathy, building relationship, we spoke about it, and communication. Democratic is all about collaboration. Yeah, so seeking for consensus, team leadership, communication. Pace setting, drive to achieve, initiative. Coaching is about developing others, empathy, self-awareness. Let's go one level below. When the style works best, each of these style has a time and a place. You can't say this is good, this is bad. Most of them used very extensively can be completely negative. There are instances that you need to use certain styles. There are instances that you should not be using certain styles. So when you are in a crisis, to kickstart a turnaround or with problem employees, if your building is on fire, you're not going to ask the person, okay, what do you think we should do now? No, that's not going to help. Jump out of the building. Just rush. So if there is a situation which needs a immediate solution, you are in an emergency, commanding is the only way that will work. Okay. Visionary when change requires a new vision or when a clear direction is needed. When you want to bring a change at an organization level, you have to cast the vision. If people don't know the reason as to why the change is being done, they are not going to be bought into that idea of change. Okay, affiliative to heal rift is a team or to motivate people. So if there are some heartburns among the people, there are conflicts among the people, there are, what should I say, people are not getting along with each other for whatever reason, past reasons. So that is when the affiliative will work, because this is a leadership style which will bring harmony. Democratic, we mentioned this, to build buy-in, consensus, to get input from valuable employees. Pace setting, you use it when you want quick results, right? So there is no time to think, hey, I'm asking you to do this, I'm doing this, do this, right? So you just keep clocking, get the work done. Coaching to help an employee improve performance over a long period of time, right? Now let's look at what will create a negative impact and what will create a positive impact most part of the time. So that's the last thing that we are going to look at. If you keep commanding all the time, the impact is going to be overall negative. If you keep doing pace setting all the time, is going to be negative as well, because you are not allowing other people to think. You are just treating them like a, you know, a group of people who can't think, right? So visionary is mostly positive. If you are using it most of the time, it's mostly positive. Affiliative is positive, democratic is positive, and coaching is positive. So these are some leadership styles that can be adopted based on emotional intelligence. So I covered emotional intelligence at last, and I also covered 6 different leadership styles based on emotional intelligence. We have another 10 minutes. If there are any questions that anybody wants to ask, I'm open to answer those questions. If nobody has any questions, Phil, you can ask me questions.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that experience-based sharing of information. Like, has there been an experience that you've had, like you've coached someone with a like higher position in a certain company that made a big impact on launching maybe a business or like a startup that has been in a success rate status right now?
Okay, so I can talk about, yeah. So let me say, there are a couple of things which have happened. One is there was this leader for a large, I can't mention the name for confidential reasons, a large computer hardware company, a senior leader in a director or senior director role, one of the roles, who was actually at a pretty much pace setting and commanding leadership style. So it will switch between these two most of the time. And it was creating a lot of negative impact among the team. He was based out of Singapore, and he was responsible for people in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Singapore, and so many other places. His leadership was, he was very good at his work. His leadership style was not so great because he was constantly getting feedback. So I started coaching him sometime last year, May, and we had the engagement for about 9 years. So he primarily worked on improving on his emotional intelligence, right? So that was one of the agendas that he had to work on. And when we completed the engagement and when he got a feedback, we could see a very significant improvement in the way that his direct reports, his manager, and his peers gave feedback, because they said, hey, earlier he was not approachable at all. So he would only give commands, and he would, give orders, commands. He's not open to listen to anyone. He's become more open to listening. Uh, he's more open to having those conversations at a very personal level beyond only talking about work. Yeah. So that kind of thing has happened. So from commanding to pace setting, he has moved to almost like a affiliative coaching leadership. That is possible if the person is willing to change.
I see. Well, just to let you know, yeah, thank you for that information you have shared. Like, I'm from the Philippines, and then I have worked on a BPO industry, and then there's been a setting, like it became a culture that um, like call center agents like me before, they work hard, even underpaid, because of a mindset. I think I'm not really sure how it's defined, but the leaders have been saying that they can always replace anyone anytime. So, like the agents or the employees now forgets how to value their skills or their capabilities because of that, like, created culture. Like, is it the business mindset of the company, or is it just the lack of emotional intelligence um that the leaders that the company has or put in place?
I think it's both. Yeah, it is both because I would primarily attach that to the culture of the organization, and it's a top down driven approach. If the leaders in the top decide to run an organization, look at human beings like machines, then they also, when they hire people, they would hire people who want to treat human beings as machines, right? And for an organization like that, a person with a high emotional intelligence will feel out of place.
So
Are you with me on
how
that?
is that? Yes, how is that dilemma like solved? Because, like, the like our country is like, we are really hard worker, even if we are underpaid, we still do our job, something like that, to those employers that are here in our country. And then so they will not mind working for those kind of leaders who do not understand how do you feel. So, like, outtreated in somehow. How is that the dilemma solved? Because how it's solved right now is just employees are just jumping from one employer to another, just seeking for one thing.
Yeah. So the problem is, see, somebody will join an organization because most of the time they join an organize jump from one organization to another organization because they see an increment in their salary, right? So they see a benefit. But if they decide to stay, it is only because if they have a sense of belonging to the organization. And the sense of belongingness will happen only through emotions. It's not just going to happen by showing money to somebody. Just to give an idea, if I tell you, hey, Phil, you need to come and work in my organization. All that you need to do is you have to sit in one corner. I'll give you a chair. Every day you sit in one corner. By end of the month, I'm going to pay $100,000. How long will you do that job?
Well, in my state, like, I'll do it forever, maybe.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If you're not challenged,
$100,000.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If you're, yeah. If you're not
It's quite a
challenged, if
bit
you're
of
not
money to sit
challenged,
quiet.
yeah, yeah. If you're not challenged, and if you're not respected, if you're not, I'm not very sure. You are saying because $100,000 is a large amount of money,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but there will be a point in time that you will feel that your own self-esteem is much more valuable than the $100,000 that you're going to get. The self-esteem is part of your emotional intelligence. That's what I'm trying to say.
That is true. I agree. Is there any other participants that we have? It's quite a number of attendees that we have already. Would you like to provide insight or also ask question? We have the CEO of the company that hosts Let Us Talk It, the Cogent. We have Srini here. Thank you. And
Hey guys, thank you for the wonderful session. I was not following completely, but I think sounds like a good discussion. But I will stay tuned more.
Yeah, Srini, I'm curious to know, Srini, where are you based?
Oh, right now, in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, you're in Michigan. All right, thanks. Thanks, Srini.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
yeah. Anyone else from the attendees? If none, then we'll park.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, Nandini.
Hi, everyone. Yeah. Thanks for conducting this session, and sorry for joining late. Yes. So I was hearing the discussion about would you be really satisfied if you get paid a certain amount of time, and then would you be able to live your life with that particular amount? Would you be able to do the same job? Yes, I agree that definitely it's not about the money. It's about how does your job takes you to the next level in terms of how much you're exploring various things. So the kind of opportunities it gives me, the kind of self-realization it gives me, how is actually, it's basically the graph, the kind of challenges I'm facing, the kind of the person I'm growing, and what's that, I'm learning out of it. And there are two aspects to it. One is if somebody gives you a low paid job, I may be able to do the same low paid job if I'm still satisfied with the growth, the kind of challenges, the kind of self fulfillment which I have, right? And I remember during when I was starting my career, I used to actually feel, hey, what is this? I just passed out, and I'm from a reputed college. I got into a reputed company. I'm getting 17K to 18K in hand, and I'm hardly saving any money. I'm, why am I doing that job? Then I came across a mentor, and he was from Oracle. I never met him, but it was just through the forums we used to interact. And he just told me about one thing: if you start working on anything as that you're going to get paid, I need to work only for the money which I'm going to get paid, then you're never going to grow. And if you start considering that I'm getting the opportunity to learn and to see how much I can fail. And if you consider that company as yours, that work as yours, that client as really yours client, and just have an imaginary world that, okay, I'm the company and he's my client, and I'm going to sell everything I have. It's in the world, it's everything is about selling your skills, selling your communication. And so I'm going to sell how much ever I can sell, and see how I can change the things. And that learning, nobody will pay you, nobody will give you that opportunity, and it's beyond the payment which you are receiving. So that is the environment I look for rather than the money.
Sure. Nandini, where are you from, Nandini?
I'm again from Detroit. I'm quite near to.
All right. So I'll just take 1 minute and wrap up on Nandini's input. She said learning, right? I always tell people, I mean, I've been in the corporate for so many years. I still continue to coach people, mentor people. I said, focus on the learning. Focus on the learning. The earning will happen eventually.
True.
Right. Just to sum up what Nandini said. Thank you, Nandini, for the input. I think we are on top of time, Phil. So I'll hand it over to you, and then you can take it from there.
Yes, thank you so much. For further questions or like to connect to Srikant, you can always reach out to him. And you can also contact Let Us Talk It team. But he will still be with us in a few moments. And then we will go to the next topic for today, which is the power of imperfection. Oh, well, it's given. Not everybody's perfect, right? So there's always imperfection no matter where we go. As you continue learning, acquiring new skills, you tend to find yourself imperfect once you are faced with a new challenge. This topic will be given to us by international leadership guru and author, so Dr. Saeed Habib. And he is an author, a motivational speaker, international leadership coach, and entrepreneur, and also currently the CEO and director of Tech Uni Ventures, a technology education and investment company with operations in India. So, not to take too much of the time and allow him to also introduce himself, I have here Coach Habib. Please take over.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. And I think the forum is beautiful. The topic which I have chosen is so a bit about myself. Probably as I speak about the topic, you will actually come to know about me. So I do not want to introduce myself right now. The topic which I have chosen, The Power of Imperfection, is the subtitle of my book, which is under release right now, The Stripeless Zebra. That's the title of the book, and the subtitle is The Power of Imperfection. It's a story about how a person from the corporate world gets a lesson when he comes to meet a zebra which has very less stripes. So that's what the Power of Imperfection is also the name of title of one of the chapters of the book. So I'm going to share my screen. Just confirm if it's visible, John. Is that clear? It's visible.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Just give him. Yeah. So that's the title. And I just would like to start with a story. This is a story about a kid in Africa who was very passionate about running. He loved running. Okay. And he was the fastest runner in his village. So the entire village, when they used to meet for festivals, they used to have a race, and he always used to stand first. So the villagers encouraged him to participate in other, programs as well. They used to have a couple of villages coming together and having a festival where he used to run. And when this whole thing started increasing, he went to a level where he had to run a race in a bigger competition where there were many villages. The one thing which he used to experience, he used to wonder and watch, is whenever he won, his entire village used to celebrate. They used to be thrilled, except one man. This boy's name was Manzuba, and the one who never celebrated his victory was Kawame. And Kawame was the wisest person in the village. So whenever Manzuba won, he used to look at the entire village celebrating, and then he wants to know what's with Kawame. And when he looks at Kawame doesn't smile, doesn't clap, doesn't get thrilled. So he's in that, a question that why is Kawame not, happy about my victory? So this happens, and he keeps asking Kawame, but he doesn't get an answer. Then finally they go to that big competition where, it's a competition where almost 30 villages participate. Manzuba puts all his efforts. He is third, second, first. He's, going between these, and the final lap, he pushes all he has and just wins. Almost a photo finish. His entire village is ecstatic. They jump, they celebrate, they're making all the noises. But Kawame is silent. Kawame doesn't move. Manzuba walks up to Kawame and said, "What do I need to do to make you smile? What do I need to do to make you feel that I have achieved something?" So Kawame stands up and he says, "You need to win a very special race, and only then I will consider you as a winner." He presents to Manzuba an old lady and a blind man. And he says, you need to race with them. Manzuba, he's confused. He said, are you joking? And blind, an old lady and a blind man, how can I race them? He said, yeah, that's the race I'm asking you for. He said, okay, to make you smile, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to win. So they go to the start line. The old lady, the blind man, and Manzuba. The gun goes off. And Manzuba is just jogging away, and he knows he's for sure winning. And he's jogging, and he goes for the round, comes back to the close to the finishing line, and he's putting his hands up as if he's going to win as usual. And he notices something very weird. Even his village doesn't applaud. There's complete silence. The entire villages are absolutely quiet. He is confused, but there's a voice inside him which tells him that you actually didn't win. So he naturally understands that he needs to walk back. So he walks back, takes the hand of that old lady and the blind man, and he starts walking back towards the finish line along with these two people. And as he does that, not only his village, but all the 30 villages, the people from all the 30 villages stand up and clap and shout and make all the celebration as he crosses the line with both these people. And he notices that Kawame is also standing, and there's a big smile on his face. Manzuba is in tears. Many people in the crowd are in tears. So he walks back. Manzuba walks to Kawame and said, what happened? I don't understand this. I'm crying. What happened? He said, so Kawame says, all the races you won is for yourself. But this race was the victory of mankind. And that's the difference. My dear fellow beings who are listening to me today, we all have survived a pandemic. We are all alive, and we have forgotten that we are lucky to be alive. And we continue to go back to our old ways. We continue to go back to putting our heads down. We continue to go back and getting back into the same rut. What am I talking about? Of course, we have to be inside the corporate world, but we need to stand strong for what we believe. We need to stand strong for a few values, which I find missing in the entire society, missing largely in the society. What is the system we are a part of? It's a rat race. We've been taught from, and John, one of the things which you need to talk to people in your country is to get out of this mindset of being believing that they are rats. From the childhood, from the schooling, from our education system to the corporate, you're always told about the rat race. Imagine when you speak about a rat race, that's the visual you have in your mind, and you represent yourself to be a rat. You might be a fat rat, you might be a tall rat, you might be a extraordinary rat, you might be the leader rat, but you're a rat. Why do you need to race? Why do you need to compete with others? Leaders don't compete with others. You know what? Leaders don't compete. So I'm just going to talk a bit. I know you're able to grapple a bit of what I'm saying, but I'm going to tell something very important, because I believe I'm not a coach by qualification. Absolutely not. I'm a coach because I went through those phases of life in an accelerated way. Today, as you introduced me with my corporate titles, but that's not the reality. The reality is something I'm going to share with you, and that's a case study. The real problem with human beings is that it's not the cardiac disease we have a heart disease. It's the focus is only about me. I need to win. I must win. My family needs to be safe. I don't care about others. I just need, and this was highly exhibited in the 2.5 years of the pandemic. I'm not sure if you people have even seen this happening. If I just I Googled I, and then you have the other words, me, myself, and you have so many poems, you have so many, short notes about I, me, myself, and, people talk about if I am fine, everything is okay. I don't care about others. And I think being a part of the corporate, we need to address this first, because this is the core disease. Until you don't address the core, you can't get rid of the disease. You need to get the core of the disease, right? You also need to observe a narrative. Languages are being, used very differently now as compared to ages. Yeah, I mean, in our childhood, when we were bored, we just sat and did nothing. We never used the word bored. I'm bored. Today, if you see most of the people, the moment you are not in any activity or you are doing nothing, you just talk about, I'm very bored. And we want what? We desire variety. And that's something to do with your heart, because you're never content. You're never satisfied, right? All the other parts like anxiety, look at anxiety. Is it wrong to be anxious? Is it wrong to have a small episode of depression? It's perfectly human, yeah. Come on. Don't make it a big deal. You can be, until this becomes a very serious issue, don't talk about these issues. Look at the language. Language is creating a lot of aspects inside our hearts and in our minds, right? So using language, which is the talk of the town, is a dangerous thing. You need to watch what you say to yourself and what you say to the world. Now, amidst this, I'm going to talk to you about something which I came up front in during the 2.5 years, because I was in the front line working with a team of 2,500 volunteers in Bangalore. And we called this entire, just before the lockdown happened in India, we got together and we brought about 25 NGOs, not-for-profit organizations. And we had a discussion saying that what's going to happen in the COVID, in the pandemic, is something which mankind has never seen before. We need to be ready. So all the people, so in such a crisis, what happens? Either you fight or you run away, right? We saw 90% of the world's population running away back into their houses when the pandemic hit. They did not dare to come out. Of course, they worked from their houses, but the remaining, there were people who wanted to fight it out, and that's the people we saw. And majority of them who came forward and fought were youngsters. I'm going to tell you the story of those young guys who were actually given up by their own families, saying that he's good for nothing. He's not performed well in his academics. He's not done well in his degree, in his college. But those were the youngsters who came forward to save lives. And what did we see otherwise? Educated professionals who have a good title, who have a good fat pay, who talk about being leaders within this ecosystem, abandoning their own fathers. And I'm talking about live calls which we have taken. I'm talking about the incidents we have gone through. Husband abandoning their wife because she was COVID positive. A body was not allowed burial. We almost took care of 3,000 dead bodies in Bangalore, right? We took them and gave them their last dignified journey. We saw people abandoning their own relatives, the most loved ones. Neighbors coming and telling us not to stop oxygen cylinders because they are scared. If people who were positive, COVID positive, came to pick up the cylinder, we might get infected. I had a call. In fact, my wife, she was on a 24 hours call, and she took a call where a lady called up and said, my dad, about 15 kilometers away, is COVID positive. He's 72 and he's in the first floor, surviving last 3 days on a mug of coffee. He had a flask of coffee and he was having little coffee, and he survived last 3 days. Now he's going to, die if he stays like this. So he said, doesn't he have anybody around with him? She said, yeah, my brother is there. That's the son of that man is there, but he's on the ground floor and he's not going up to the first floor to serve his father because the father is COVID positive. Our team had to go pick this man, take him to the hospital, and thank God he was saved. Now, what am I trying to tell you? RT-PCR test, right? The true RT-PCR test needs to be taken. And what's that true RT-PCR? Human beings have lost respect for each other. They've lost trust. They've lost the patience to be able to stand by somebody. They've lost the compassion, and we've lost responsibility. This is what I saw during the COVID, and this is real. And we have forgotten. I see people back with that same arrogance of saying, I must win. Until you do not nip this disease, you can't take care of most of the other things which you speak normally. And there's a me attitude. It needs to be tweaked. It has to be tweaked. And we always have to, note that when you come together, you can win. Our team, if we had said, we have an NGO called the United Foundation. If we had said, no, only my NGO needs to do things, we would have been alone. We wouldn't have been able to do what I'm going to share with you right now. We came together with 25 NGOs, which made a huge, almost an army of people who were on the front line, right? 2,500 people with 25 NGOs working together as one team called Mercy Mission, which made a huge impact. The state government, the government of India, and the people from across the world appreciated the work which was done on the ground. Why did that happen? Because when you look at teams, when we work together, right, the smallest team is a husband and wife, right? And then the next team is your family. And the next bigger team which you experience is your friend circle. The next team which you experience is your workplace. And usually when teams form, the second phase, the first phase, the very beautiful phase where you form, right? When you get together, that's the most beautiful phase. When teams form, when corporates form, when organizations form, when families form, when two people marry, that's the stage of forming. Everybody is so thrilled. Everybody is looking up, but then reality hits, and then you see that the person you expected to be is not the way the person is. And then you have storming. The second phase is storming. And every team goes through this. Forming, then second is storming. Third, you realize that, okay, this person can only do this much. The other person can do only this much. If you realize that, you norm and you normalize in your head saying that, okay, I have to accept this person and walk along, right? And then the actual performance comes. So there's a cycle. We need to respect that cycle, right? But now sometimes these cycles break. What happened? How did it break? It breaks in emergencies. When we formed the Mercy Mission of 25 NGOs, imagine two people can't work together. A small team of 3 people can't work together. 25 non-government organizations, these are charity organizations, right? We came together. And the moment we formed, then we didn't have time to do all the storming or norming. We had to get into performance. So a few imperfect people, okay, came together. And the moment after forming, they got into work. They said, we need to be on the field. We need to do, and what's the KRA? What's your key, result areas? How do you perform? No measure. Just do anything you can to save mankind. That was the goal. And what happened? I'm going to talk to you about this. This is a small team which was there at the railway station during the first wave, sending off almost close to 2 lakh migrants who were there in Bangalore, who were on the roads because they didn't have they are the daily wage workers who were on the roads. We had to serve 107 trains to send these migrants back to their homes with food, water, and some more food for them to survive for the next 10, 15 days. So this team of young volunteers, and the volunteers were between the age of 18 to about 30, 35. How did they operate? How did they remove these two very dangerous phases of storming and norming? They formed and they performed. How did they do that? They sensed the danger, right? First, they sensed the danger. They saw fear and death. You had the choice of fight or flight. Some of them decided to fight. They focused on the why. Why? Because, most of these youngsters who came on the field, their families themselves didn't allow them. They said, why are you going out? It's a pandemic. You're putting your life at risk. So they said, no, this is, as a human being, I need to stand for everybody around me, right? That's the why they had. When they had the why clear, how, what, when, where was very easy. It was not very significant. It became easy. And they did not have any assumptions. They did not say, generally when we have normal teams, you talk about people, their assumptions. We did not have time for assumptions. And what happened? It was united efforts, large projects. I'm going to, share a few data with you, which is incredible. So that's why I say this journey of perfection, is fed from the corporate world. Usually, you want everything to be perfect, but human beings are not designed to be perfect. They can do things perfectly, but you need not be perfect, right? Look at that. The entire journey of trying to be perfect is such a stressful one. We want to be perfect and we want others to be perfect. By nature, you and I cannot be perfect. We can try excellence, but we can't be perfect, right? Look at the difference. In perfection, you have I win and you, I don't know. I can, my way or the highway, as Shrikant said, can't build anything. They earn hate. I scratch your back, you scratch my back, and there's a lot of stress. This is the journey of perfection. Whereas excellence comes when you say, I win, you win, we win. We can. Let's explore our way. Maybe your way is better than mine. Let's make it our way. Build teams, earn respect, have diversity, and look at the end. You have a lot of goodness in your heart and in your mind. You feel good. You sleep well, right? Can anybody type out what they can see here on the image, on the screen? Can you just type out or say what you see? What do you see? Anybody? What do you see on the screen? Anybody? Either type or...
It's like two persons together on a bench.
Oh, all right. It's exactly not. A human mind is designed to assume with limited information. When we have limited information, we assume. And more often than not, our assumptions are negative, or our assumptions are not completely true, right? How does a person who has this I attitude assume? If somebody doesn't talk, why didn't he look at me? Why? And if somebody is not invited to a particular event, why was I not invited? Why? I mean, somebody does better than me. Why is he better than me? Why was my idea not? Look at the questions a person, or the assumptions a person with the me or I attitude has. These are all assumptions which are going to lead you to a distress or a bad feeling in your heart, right? So it's all about the heart. Indeed, we have a lump of flesh inside our body, which is called the heart. And heart has two parts. It's the physical heart as well as the one which is representing our emotions. If it is good, everything is good. If it is corrupted, the entire body is corrupted. The people around us suffer. I suffer as well as the people around me. So I need to look at my heart, right? Heart is where, so to add on to Shrikant's talk, heart is where you actually experience a lot of emotions, right? Heartbeat goes up, comes down, it changes when we. So what are the assumptions a person who thinks about everybody has? If somebody looks through and walks away and doesn't talk, he says, must have been preoccupied with something. He's okay with it. He didn't invite me to the event, must have skipped his memory. If somebody else performs and I didn't perform, thank God the purpose was met and the project is complete, right? And things like that, So if you actually do an RT-PCR test of your heart, you need to have first respect for people, trust, patience, compassion, and responsibility. If you have these 5, you will be able to understand, or these 5 elements of values, you will be able to understand how important it is not to be perfect, but how important it is to stand for others and not expect others to be perfect. And it takes off the pressure from your heart and the hearts of others, right? So what did this team of imperfect individuals who came together during the last 2.5 years achieve? Mind-boggling. I would have never thought of it. I would have never planned for it. It would have never happened. 1,40,000 dry ration kits worth 15 crores. 15 crores is about $2 million distributed. No fundraising, absolutely no fundraising. It all came, it poured in, because when people came to ask, how can we help? They found one large team working in Bangalore, in Karnataka, basically. And they said, okay, we have money, we have food, let's give it to these people because they are doing a good job. Kitchens, 33 kitchens overnight set up, dishing out 30 lakh meals worth almost $1 million. 107 trains served. Mercy Angels was another team, all these are the verticals of our teams. Mercy Angels completed 2.5 lakh dead bodies taken to their last journey. Mercy Booths, 2 lakh COVID patients served. 43,000 calls handled in the first wave. I don't know, we lost track after that. So we supported 3 hospitals, and these 3 hospitals did not have enough oxygen. So we supported them importing oxygen cylinders and setting up plants in these hospitals to serve the people who were in distress. And that way, there were many lives were saved. And the list goes on. It wouldn't be possible if it was a person, one person, or a small team. That's the power when imperfect people like you and me come together for an amazing cause, and that's why when we are working inside our corporate environment also, we need to have that in our mind and in our hearts, that my work, which I'm doing inside this organization, is just not fill my pocket. By doing that, I'm being an agent who can work together with this team so that everybody survives, everybody is successful. So in short, the journey of perfection is a very stressful one. It is better to be imperfect, but head for excellence. So these are my books, which are available on Amazon. And these books have been tied to a social cause. The profits from these books go to the slums of Bangalore, where youth are empowered. I encourage you to please pick them up. I believe strongly that they are pretty good writes and quite good to read and not very heavy. So these are the books, and you can follow me on Insta as well as Facebook. And to end, one small quote which I wrote down during the pandemic: the world needs human beings who are imperfect, not perfect beings who are inhuman. Thank you so much, and I'm open for questions.
Wow, that's really amazing. Thank you so much for bringing this to this session, to Let Us Talk It platform. Thank you, B, really. So
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
yeah, open for questions and insights. So you'd like to share your thoughts or what you feel regarding the sessions, please feel free to open your mic or raise hand so we can acknowledge. Yes, Nandini.
Go ahead.
Yeah, great work. Actually, I'm like, it's such a beautiful demonstration of like how to be a simple human being first. Really appreciate, and we feel blessed that we got an opportunity to be part of it. Just wanted to know, like, to know more about the organization, if somebody wants to be a part of it, and what are the areas you guys work on. Is it limited only to Bangalore or Karnataka? Like, can you help us know more about it?
Mercy Mission right now is based in Bangalore, but has impacted the Karnataka because we created teams exactly like what we did here. So we had a process of how we work here. It was very disorganized initially, but then because professionals were there, the advantage of bringing that corporate knowledge into the operations of what we did. And then it moved to Karnataka. And then on a larger scale, a lot of similar teams from across India took the model and they worked on it. Right now, the focus is Bangalore and Karnataka. Right now, we are looking at anything to do with large-scale projects, which include, one is disaster management or calamities like the pandemic. But the other side, we're also working on. We have a fellowship right now, which is going on. All the learnings of the last 3 years has been documented into that fellowship through empowering youngsters. We also do a lot of work in terms of blood donations as well as plasma requirements. And we are setting up a blood bank right now in Bangalore. And we're looking at creating a big fellowship which can allow youngsters who wish, because see, what we noticed during the pandemic was youngsters had the potential. Youngsters came forward and really worked. And these are the same youngsters who the teachers, the parents, and the neighbors had given up on. They told, "Ye to bekar hai, kuch nahi karega. This is a gone case. This guy is a gone case." We saw more than 80% of such youngsters come forward and work. So all they needed was a platform. So we said we are going to create this platform of Mercy Mission. Though I belong to a smaller NGO called the United Foundation, which works on the education side, we said we give a large, so fellowship is going to be a very huge project which we are taking up, where we invite youngsters to come and join us and go into real-time social projects so that they can get a hang of it. The other thing is, if you notice, in India, there is something where social work isn't respected so much. Of course, after the pandemic, things have changed a bit, but it's not, really regarded. In academics, if you go and show them I work for an NGO, they don't give you any credit. But then when you give the same letter to Harvard, Harvard prefers people who have done social work. Nanyang prefers people who have done social work. And I've got a letter of recommendation given to so many volunteers. We have over 600 volunteers, young volunteers. When we give a letter of recommendation, they get a better chance of getting into big universities across the world. So a fellowship is one of the biggest projects we right now have. We're also writing a book on Mercy Mission. What happened in this 3 years? What are the challenges? How a pandemic needs to be handled? So that's another project that's happening. But right now, as I say, it's limited to India, but we are very open to work with anybody across the world.
One more question, so what are the different skills that you're actually looking in terms of the volunteer?
All that broke in the pandemic. You don't need any skills, you need a heart. So we know people who absolutely are from, I have an incident. We had taken up a school, and we were about 200, I think 150 volunteers on that particular day, making rotis for the trains, because the Shramik trains were taking all these, about the migrants, like what happened to the migrants, right? Migrants were on the road because they didn't have any means of earning. Everything was closed. So the only thing they knew was they had to get back to their village. Most of them in Bangalore were from North India. So we were making rotis. So we were dishing out 1.5 lakh rotis every day. And while making rotis, we found one person walking on the road. He peeped into this place, and suddenly he looks at this place, and he has 150 people inside during COVID. What the hell is happening? And he walks in and said, "What are you people doing?" So we said, "We're making food, packing it, and sending it to the trains." So he said, "Can I also join?" We said, "Yeah, most welcome. We need more the merrier." So he came and joined. Absolutely no skills. Then finally we found out that he is from the digital side. And what he did, he took a video of the entire thing, and he posted it on the social media, and it went viral. And then we got traction. So it really doesn't matter. It's your niyat bolte na, niyat andar dil mein. I don't know if you understand Hindi.
I understand.
Good intentions have a lot of power. So I didn't see skill. Skill came afterwards. So if anybody has the heart to make a difference, I think you automatically get into the team, and then you can discover yourself, your skill actually.
Great, actually. And last question, if I'm not overtaking your time. So how do people reach out to you in terms of need? How do you know if somebody needs your services, or they need help?
We have a helpline. We do have a helpline, and we do also have people who are volunteers who give their numbers, different areas, right? And that's the way. And my number is also available. I'm open to taking calls as well. I don't say that because I'm the president of the Mercy Mission, I don't take calls, nothing like that. These are all titles for an org structure, but then everybody does everything. So that's the beauty. So anybody can reach out to anybody.
Great.
You can pick my number from the organizers, and then we can be in touch.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, great session, Habib. So I have one question. As part of your life journey, what really motivated you, to really step into, such great humanitarian projects? Your motivation and any turnkey events in your life.
Yes. See, I realized this very late. In fact, quite late. Why that kida, they say, inside your heart, and then you have that thought process. I realized late that it was my parents. So both my parents, we come from a middle class family, and both my parents used to bring in people from outside who used to beg. They used to bring them and talk to them and tell them to stop begging and start working. So they transformed a lot of people from beggars into drivers, into help at home, and cleaners and dishwashers and things like that. So that became quite a bit of a routine at my house when I remember in my childhood, and I used to always wonder why do they do this. So when my dad passed away in about 4 5 years back, uh, he left nothing much. I mean, he didn't leave wealth. He didn't have a house of his own. But about a couple of months back, some of those days ke jo beggars, those people came and visited my mom, and most of them had houses of their own. Most of them were stable with their income, and they came and met my mom and said, "All this is because of what you did to us." So I realized that while bringing up our kids, so that was the impact they created on me. Well, I used to question, why are you doing this? We are in tough times. We were middle class. So I used to question them at that time. Why do you do this? But I think the impact of investing into acts of goodness in front of, along with your children, makes a huge difference. That's what influenced me to find myself as well. So I think while you ask this beautiful question, the message is, don't wait to do good deeds. Do them right now, because your children will never listen to what you say. They will always listen to what you do. Thank you.
Hi, this
sounds
is
good.
Sheetal.
Yes.
Hi, Sheetal.
Hi, I loved your talk, and kudos to you, all our humble respects and salute to all the work you have done, all the inspiration you have created. And yes, just like Srini asked, and your answer, both of them, made me realize the beauty of what we have watched, observed our parents and grandparents do with the household help, with people who will never repay them back, is what actually goes into our DNA as we grow up and how we parent. Because that question, as in like what inspires you to go above and beyond taking care of yourself and your family and your selfish needs in a materialistic world, to do something bigger, to have a bigger vision, is, that's a very good clarifying answer that you gave, and I appreciate that. But one of the insights
you.
I wanted from, yeah, my pleasure. And it gives all the more reason for parents to be having downtime with their children, because we are in a society where we outsource the parenting to the schools, to the tutors, to courses, to classes, to robotics, to math olympiads, and dance classes. But in there, we are there as a chaperone, going here and there. And then I saw someone, I think it was Nandini, that forwarded this article saying in the Hindu that the connection between mom and child is being tested these days. It's actually weak now, because, and they've done some research to prove that, because kids think parents care for their success, that's it. And the love is dependent on that success, on the grades, on the A's, which is what is missing, because we have outsourced that bondage too. The question
Absolutely. So
yeah,
well said.
thank you so much. The insight I'm seeking from you is that, you mentioned perfectionism, and I completely agree with you. I have believed that perfectionism is a sin and excellence is what we go for. But in the last few weeks, I've heard two people come back and tell me in a very good way that I'm a perfectionist. And I was exploring that in a very open-minded, playful way, because I wanted to see myself from their eyes, whether it is a flyer, whether it is a dance, whether it is project, how it comes out, whether it is anything, right? Um, for me, it's not like following a fashion trend, following like this is what corporate rules are, this is what we're supposed to do, or we've always done. That's not that kind of perfectionism. But the focus on excellence comes across as perfectionism to others, I don't know. I wanted to hear your, because you did not stop at mediocre. You went above and beyond, and you excelled in how, as an imperfect human being, collaborating with other imperfect human beings with imperfect ideas, but with a vision, right? That's bigger than all of you. How you led it could come across as a perfect project to someone else.
Absolutely.
So how
Well
do
said.
you?
And yeah, it's good. What you asked is what everybody, when most of the people go through when you look at this. Now you need to have a distinction for your own self, and you need to understand that from your own perspective, because the world can judge you in any way. For everything they have something to tell. So if you keep listening to people, then you will never be able to understand who you really are. Now, with regards to perfection, perfection is misinterpreted. Perfection, if I want to do something, like if I have to build a car, I have to make the car perfect. I can't have an imperfect car, right? So doing something perfectly is excellence, but expecting your own self to do that every single time is perfection. And then it's the feel. If you get stressed about it, right? If you're getting stressed about it, it's the disease of perfection. You're trying to get stressed because you're not able to do it every time and again, right? The other thing, the most important thing is, one is you expecting yourself to be perfect. The second one is expecting others. So when you see somebody else is not able to do things in that particular way you want to do, and then you freak out, or you expect them to, and then you get upset. So that's the individual who's tending towards perfection. It's not otherwise.
Wow,
I hope I
that
clarified
was,
this.
yes. I mean, I'm really happy I asked this question, because that really, 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 defines it for me. It's that emotion.
Absolutely.
It's the emotion with which I
Yes.
conduct myself. I'm excited. Like, I see the children, right? When they're building sand castles, they want a perfect castle. They keep going to the water. They're doing all the hard work, but they're not stressed out. They're extremely on a high vibe. They are happy, and they want to do their best. But yes, you put an adult in something to build, and if someone's not doing their job, or we think we are not good enough, or we could have done better, any of those low emotions changes it to perfection mode and not excellence mode. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. So that was really a wonderful talk. And anyone else would like to?
Yeah, I will go for a second question. Maybe
Yes.
this question is both for two wonderful human beings who attended the Let Us Talk It forum, like both Srikanthan and Habib. So how do you create more time for yourself? We need time to do a lot of things, right? So I always wanted to know the tips and tricks that worked for people. So Habib, you can feel free to answer that.
Dangerous, very, very, very dangerous question. And I do grapple with my own time. And but then I understood something I had a distinction. So I started doing this ritual of finding a distinction for my own self first. And it may be okay with others, and it may not be okay with others. It's perfectly what works for me sometimes may work for others as well. Time is something you can never control because it is connected to emotions. A queue, you're standing for example, a queue where you're waiting for the most looked up to movie, and to buy the tickets, for example. Now nobody does that, but I'm just giving you an analogy to understand that a queue where you're standing to pick up a ticket for going to a movie, which is you're looking forward to that movie, versus a queue you're standing to pay the water bill. The length of the queue could be the same, but the emotions you go through are completely different. So that determines the understanding of time. So emotions are inside us. Time is external, because time is based on the rotation of the earth, right? So, but the way you're going to experience time is according to your emotions, right? That's the first point. Second, so how do you overcome that? The one thing which the one who created us gave us is the power of focus. Focus is the antidote to, managing time. If you're able to focus, because focus is internal, you can choose to focus on something you really wish. If you're able to focus on those big giant goals which you really want to achieve, and not get muddled with all the tiny things in life, then probably your time will be more effectively managed. So this is how I try to look at it. Hope that answers your question.
Oh, very well. I think you definitely, it's, I can relate a lot of the things that you said. Yeah. And yeah, also any others also want to answer that question? Because this is such a thing that, all of us are, this is a common commodity for all of us that will be withdrawing starting from, once we wake up and then from the time back.
Absolutely.
Okay. Looks like there are no other answers.
I was waiting for the first speaker to speak up because I would love to share something.
No, actually, I think Srikanth left actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is Sheetal again, and I love that question, and I love the answer once again. And again, the guidance points to the highest emotion with which we carry. And I love that example because, again, the same example of a child building a sandcastle, working very hard. I saw them. They go all the way to the water, get the water, they dig, and they're like getting muddy, and that's not what they want to, right? In real life, they do so much, but yeah, so they don't think, oh my God, when am I going to get my me time? Because the me time is happening because their emotion is at the highest. So I love that clarity, and that's exactly true no matter what we do, whether it is menial chores, doing dishes, cooking, or projects. I think if we are in that zen, in that flow, where what we think, what we are feeling, and what we are doing, and our focus is all on one thing, I think we lose ourselves in that project, whatever that project is, whether it's inside the house or inside an office building, doesn't matter. And in that losing ourselves, it becomes meditation, and that I don't know, maybe that creates happy hormones inside us, and we realize, like, I want more of this, that high. And
Absolutely.
that creates that. I think, yeah, it's that abundance mindset, right? Like, there's no scarcity because you are completely in it. You're not distracted. Thank you so much for
One
this.
of the things which
Yeah.
actually harms our understanding of time is competition. When we compete with others, and when you start competing, you have so many people to compete against. But what I studied about leaders, those who are called the extraordinary, and the ones who actually, when you look at them, you say, how is this person able to do so much in such a little time? The thing I saw about them is they don't compete with others. They compete with themselves. They compete against their previous best. So they do not have to deal with this malice, the jealousy, the thinking about what the other person is doing, how much is he achieving. None of that matters to them, and they're focused on the previous best which they have done. So that's where they're able to upgrade and excel in that journey. So what happens is they're quite happy with their own performance, and then they try to upsize that performance, and they do not have malice against others. So that way the time is more optimized. And focus is also.
Yeah, I love it. And sorry, go ahead, Srini.
Oh, no, I was just saying good point, Sheetal, and then good answer. In fact, this is supposed to be a Zipinar, like a multiple webinars zipped into one, but I'm taking the liberty today to I have more questions as well. I want to continue the conversation because I think probably one more question. Yeah, Sheetal, please continue.
I just wanted to say that what I just heard reminds me of this analogy that if I am in my head, I compare. If I drop myself and into my heart, right, then I'm actually inward. and I'm only focusing on that high, and it's completely regardless of the other person, what they're doing, where they are, who they are. Like it's almost like you're lost inside that situation because you're operating from your heart. And the only way I found the trick to drop from my head to my heart is to breathe and relax. That's it. It's like so simple that it's almost like people may want more higher funda, but I feel like this works so well when we breathe and relax, because probably the science will say that the danger is no more around me. And when there is no danger, there is no danger of comparison, danger of me being outperformed by somebody, nothing. It's like you become one with everything. So if someone's outperforming, you are also reveling in that joy of watching this, whatever it is. Yeah, I just wanted to add that. Srini, it's your turn.
Yes, I mean, I have more questions, and this conversation is pretty interesting to me because I feel that small things make all the big difference. All these perfect intentions and all. So yeah, the next question to you, Habib, is that so as part of once we start the human journey, we always vacillate, or we try to switch between idealism and practicalism, the practicalities, or realities, right? So ideally, I know that yes, I have to work for more humanitarian projects. I need to give my best and extend myself, for the causes of humanity. That's what is the idealism. When I open, when I before I open eyes from the bed in the morning, or when I'm sleeping, I think about the idealism. When I wake up and I check my calendar, I need to attend to the daily duties, work, materialistic, all those things, right? Everything disappears. So the intention is inside me, but I do not have all the necessary tools and time and flexibility to really take it to the next level. We had a great conversation today, right? A lot of the people wanted to like it opened up more good thought process. But do you think there will be action from any of our audience in the next 6 months or 1 year tangibly, right? I'm not trying to point at anybody. I'm pointing at myself, right? So this is I'm trying to represent the common psyche of many when I speak to many of them, right? Because at least I have flexibility to because I'm an entrepreneur, and the things are kind of a lot of the things are on autopilot, because that is the way I wanted to build things for myself, to retain my independent thinking and to be flexible to do what I want, right? But I'm speaking on behalf of so many others as well. So there are a lot of responsibilities that are tied to it, and and how can they really break out of this, and what is that ideal model? In fact, I'm thinking about the similar thoughts, like Sheetal and Nandini and a lot of these wonderful team members here. We are in Michigan. We keep talking about a lot of things, and we do a lot of experiments in Michigan. So your thoughts on that? How to break away from the shackles that come along as a package once we take the human birth.
Yeah, intense, solid question, needs a lot of time to answer, but I'll try to see what best I can do in the limited time. First of all, keeping social service as a separate part of our life, I think that's where the problem lies. The moment you're born into this world, you're a social being, right? So I need to be contributive all the time. It need not be a separate time. That's one. Second, I think it requires us to have very strong vision in terms of asking ourselves, why? Why am I a human being? And why am I on this earth? Because anyway, we've seen people pop out and die, right? During all these, not only the pandemic, normally young people, KK died, and had so many other young people die. So what if I die today? Am I dying, incomplete? Or am I ready to die? So why, asking a why is very important. Why am I going to work? Why am I in this corporate? Why have I established this organization? Clarifying the why is the actual reason why certain of the leaders who have this beautiful way of handling an organization or taking it forward. They might be autocratic, democratic, at times they might be a combo of both. It doesn't matter. Their why is very clear. Their intent of getting up and going to the office or doing that particular job. What makes us say that when I'm going to my office, I'm not contributive, I'm not impacting? If I have a team of 100 people, 100 lives, 100 families. So I think that kind of a thought process, if it is made a part of the culture, and certain values, basic values, are spoken about in a particular ecosystem. And the last point, but not the least, we need to work on our belief. We don't have time to work on. We are carrying beliefs in a very unconscious fashion. We do not know what we believe about ourselves. We do not know what we believe about the team we work in. We do not know what we believe in this entire game of life itself. So we are not completely clear. We're very confused. So that's why we need clarity in terms of putting our beliefs, questioning some of the beliefs, putting them in perspective, not just following them blindly, clarifying our intention, clarifying the why, and finding out the purpose and nailing that. First, if you have not found the purpose, please take time off. Take about a week, 10 days, go alone, sit down, reach out to the skies and ask the one who created you, saying that, please open to me, why am I here? Everybody's why is very different. But all of it again is commonly, tied in to a good cause. It can never be. I mean, I have not come here to become a thug, or that's not the purpose, right? A person who hasn't found that purpose will become a robber, thug, thief, or a cheat. A person who's found his purpose, or they say enlightened, or discovered something in that aspect, has always gone forward and done good. Whether he's in the corporate or he's in the non-corporate does not matter. Even in the corporate, you can do the best of services in the best of the ways. It's only that why, the intention, the purpose, and the beliefs, if you're able to work. I find a lot of people don't have too much time for this because you are running the rat race. So very short explanation. I hope you get it, but we can spend a lot of time on this, and it really requires a lot of investment of time and sincerity into this particular. So
I have one point to add.
Yeah, great answer.
Sure.
Yes, Nandini, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think to summarize your thing, right? Like what I understand from you is, establishing the sync between your subconscious and conscious mind is actually makes you do the things which you have committed for. Or first of all, you would not say it, or it would not come from your heart unless you're interested. So if you're interested, it becomes a part of the subconscious. Now that it's becoming a part of a subconscious. If you sync that subconscious to your conscious mind, then it turns into an action. And that's where actually I think most of us, like I myself fail every day, every time, to most of the things and the thoughts which I produce, but I cannot execute. And I feel that the core is establishing the link between the conscious and subconscious mind.
Agree, Nandini, because it's an amazing thing which God Almighty has given us. Without the subconscious and without the conscious, how would he have learned so many things? It's most of what we know gets concreted into our subconscious, right? Every single habit we have, whether we drive, run, walk, learn a language, everything is in the subconscious, right? So that there's a bridge there between both. And I think moderating that bridge is very important for us, as you said. It's a beautiful answer.
Yeah, and I recently learned that establishing a link between a subconscious and conscious can be solution to many of your problems, like marital issues, the issues with the work, issues with yourself, not being happy, everything. And like that's what, like they say that
I can add
if you want
there.
Sure.
Go ahead, Nandini. Complete.
So they said that if you really want to avoid a conflict, so you have to establish the link between your subconscious and conscious before even getting into the conflict. Like be it anything in terms of like, issue with your parents, issue with your, spouse, or issue with your kids.
I agree, and Nandini, I'll tell you something. I learned this from my wife. Okay, and she's an amazing lady. I learned this from my wife. She taught me through her way of living. She taught me that a transaction or an interaction between two people is not business. Most of us treat it like business. You're good to me, I'm going to be good to you. It's business, right? You're bad to me, I'm going to give it back. And you know what? In this aspect, both people suffer. You know what? A human being has been created to be contributive. So if you are able to look at the other person, even if he's bad to you, I mean, this is a very tough journey, but if you tread on it, it's an amazing journey because it brings a lot of contentment. It brings a lot of goodness in your heart. And if you tread that journey saying that even if the other person is bad to me, I'm going to be good to him or her, because why am I doing it? Because I, as a human being, have been designed to do that. If I use it as if I transact with people in the mode of business, I'm not actually, as a human being, I'm not designed to do that. So I go against my own self, right? So in terms of, because when I'm dealing with so many people, when they come to, for coaching, counseling, and they ask questions, one of the biggest thing which I've noticed why people drain out their energies, drain out their, entire being itself, get into a negativity and, destroy their own selves or destroy the people around them. Why they do it is because they have one important relationship in their life which has got messed. It could be either the wife, husband, father, mother, and and a very important relationship is in a mess. It's in a mess because they have a lot of expectations and those expectations aren't being met. If you don't have expectations and then believe that whatever happens, there are certain beliefs I told you, right? You need to work with your beliefs. If you actually have a belief saying that everything happens for a purpose and it serves me and it serves everybody else, then you're a bit lighter, right? And it again, as I said, it comes to the why. Why are you actually interacting? Why are you in a relationship? Why are you, treating a person in a particular way? If you get the why, your way of working with people, and if you get your beliefs right, the way of transacting with people becomes very clear. And as they very beautifully say, center your life around principles. Do not center your life around people. Most of us succumb because we center our life around one or two people. And if they are happy, we are happy. If they are not happy, we crumble. That's not the way. We need to center our life around principle. Even if a person, disrespects us, I will never disrespect because my principle is to respect people. I hope, I mean, it's a big thing, but a big topic, but this is generally where I found a breakthrough in my life. So I found that breakthrough, and that's what I'm sharing. So earlier I used to treat relationships like business. You're good to me, I'm good to you. But now I think that has shifted for me and that has made an incredible change in my own way of living.
Great thoughts, actually. I think all of us, like whoever is listening, sees you a mentor in some or the other way. It's great vibes you have.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think we have overshot the time, or
Yes, and I really we really thank you, and we appreciate your effort extending this long. I know the agreement was only half an hour for the Zipinar purposes, but you have given us the highest, the peak of the emotion. So,
thank you so
all
much,
right.
everybody.
So yeah, if you wish to contact for like more coaching or any other transaction you may be offline with Habib, you can I've posted on the chat the LinkedIn links, or you can get in touch with the Let Us Talk It team to get his WhatsApp information. and you can message him there.
Sure.
Well,
Sure.
thank you so much, everyone, for joining this wonderful session of the
Thank you, guys.
webinar of Let Us Talk It. If you want more of this session, please join again next Wednesday, the same time, 12 p.m. To 1 p.m. Eastern Time, or 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. India time. Thank you again, and all the best. Keep safe, and we end for now.